Trying to understand how the U.S. government works at a macro level can be a bit overwhelming, but reduce it to a micro scale and things start to make a lot more sense. This is the debt limit, made simple. Brought to you by the Heritage Foundation. Welcome to United Estates, a small gated community in sunny Florida. When United Estates was first built, its residents formed a homeowners association to take care of small community needs, like landscaping common grounds and publishing a monthly newsletter. Residents elected Steve as president. He was responsible for organizing a monthly meeting to discuss community needs. Steve was also in charge of managing the finances, which consisted of a small fee paid by residents each month. Finally, Steve was given a community credit card to handle day-to-day expenses. Steve wasn't the brightest guy, but he was likable and had big ideas. One of Steve's first items of business was to build a community clubhouse and pool. The project was financed over 35 years, and the homeowner's fee was increased to cover the additional expense. Additionally, residents set aside some money to cover future maintenance on the pool, which would be out of warranty in 5 years. At first, things were going well. The bushes got trimmed, the newsletter got delivered, and residents loved the new pool. But soon Steve started getting knocks on his door. First, it was Joe from down the street, who thought it would be nice to have a pool table in the clubhouse. Next, it was Marcy from next door, who insisted that the community build a compost pile to reduce waste. Then it was Tim with the solar street lamp idea, and Nancy, whose brother really needed a job. Steve knew the homeowner's fee wouldn't cover these additional expenses, but he also had a very hard time saying no. So he started putting purchases on the community credit card, and when that was maxed out, he started to borrow money from the pool maintenance fund. The financial situation was stressful for Steve, but he soon began realizing some unexpected benefits. Those who had come to Steve asking for favors always seemed to vote for Steve's proposals at the monthly meeting, and more importantly, supported his re-election each year. This was turning out to be not such a bad arrangement after all, only the money had run out. It was possible to increase the limit on the community credit card, but the bylaws of the Homeowners Association required the measure to be put to a vote. Trying to be discreet, Steve combined the credit card increase with another very pressing issue that was being voted on the next month, and sure enough, it passed. This turned out to be such a simple solution to Steve's money problem that he did it again, and again, and again. Each time the credit card limit was increased, Steve spent the community a little more into debt, and the interest expense was growing. Some residents of the community saw what was happening and were concerned. They knew the bill would come due eventually and that HOA fees would skyrocket, making it difficult to sell their home. Others, like Joe, knew what was happening but didn't care. But by far the vast majority of residents were just too busy to see the financial storm lurking on the horizon. Does this story sound familiar? It should, because you're living it right now. As citizens of the United States, we live in a community governed by democratic rule. We've elected leadership to oversee the day-to-day administration of our affairs and finances, and we pay fees to cover our expenses. As a community, we've voted on some pretty big projects, and we're trying to set aside money to pay for them. But like Steve, our leadership continues to overspend, rack up favors, and borrow from the future. In 1917, the Second Liberty Bond Act established a limit on how much debt the U.S. government could accrue. Over the years, this debt limit has been raised again, and again, and again. Well, 73 times to be exact. With each increase, our leadership spends us a little more into debt, and our interest expense grows. Very soon, Congress will again be proposing a measure to increase the debt limit, this time by more than $1 trillion. This measure will probably be buried in a larger, more urgent bill, peppered with words like recovery and stabilize and reinvestment, and praised by Congress as being vital and imperative and of national interest. But we both know better. Okay, let's get back to United Estates and see how the story ends. The residents of United States who realized what was going on decided they'd had enough. They called their neighbors and explained what was going on, and once the people understood the problem, the solution seemed obvious. At the next monthly meeting, the residents of United States voted overwhelmingly to elect a new president. And the first thing that president did was sell the pool table, close the guard shack, And most importantly, start saying no. The residents of United States aren't out of debt, but they are back on track. And the forecast calls for clear skies and sunny weather. How will your story end? To learn more about the debt limit, visit heritage.org.